If anybody's out there, I'm just figuring this out, so bear with me as I try to get this going. Looks like we're live. All right. Very cool. All right. Looks like we're live. Welcome to the first Video Shaman live stream. I'm trying out StreamYard for the first time, which I'm really excited about. There's so much more customizability in here compared to Zoom. So I just want to start off by welcoming anybody who may or may not be here. Looks like I'm not sure we have anybody at the moment, but that's fine. We're gonna see how it goes, and just want to start off with a little prayer for gratitude, because gratitude is one of our most important tools that we have, especially in the world that we find ourselves in. There's so much that seems to be outside of our control, and that word we're going to get into a lot more going forward. This idea of control, whether or not we do have control, are we co-controlling or co-creating? And with a lot of the things that seem to be outside of our control, we can always retreat back to this state of gratitude. So just want to start off with this. I'd like to start off by saying we should be thankful for all the things that we take for granted: the air that we breathe, the water we drink, the food that we eat, the land that we're standing on, and for all of our friends and family, people we have not yet met in our lives that perhaps may shed some wisdom upon us on how we are all connected. And especially, let's be grateful for the freedom that we have. A lot of times we take this for granted, and we're going to get into that as well a lot more. This idea of freedom, what does that actually mean? Does that mean we get to just do whatever we want? Is freedom Often freedom is associated with choice? You can go this way or you can go that way, but I think we can get a little bit deeper into freedom. Freedom might be more about our freedom to how we react to a situation. So again, do we control the situation we're in, or do we control how we react? I would just remind us that we can control how we react, and it's actually a lot more of substance than we've maybe been programmed or led to believe, because our way we react, our subjective experience, and in a lot of ways, thanks to what we've learned through just the paradigm shift in itself of quantum physics, how we react in our subjective experience can oftentimes override our objective reality. Uh, and then this gets lost in the weeds a lot of time when it comes to this like new age world of self-help and quantum jibber jabber. That there's two, let's put it this way, there's two environments. There's our inner environment of our biology and our thoughts and our emotions, and then there's the outer environment, the one that we perceive as the so-called real world out there. And when we change how we react, when we have that knowledge that of how much power we have over the inner world, we can override a lot of different things like disease and behavioral afflictions and things like that. So once we start to become more in balance within ourselves, then the outer world seems to change around us. So this is really cool, because this whole idea of the simulation, that we're not really in the real world, we're seeing a simulated version of this real world. Point is that when you look outside, using your five senses to perceive the outer world, you're not seeing the actual real world. It's like we're seeing an interpretation of that through our consciousness, through our brain, our physiology, our memories, our experiences, programming. And that is key, that the world around us kind of changes, because it's a reflection of a lot of ways of what's going on within ourselves. So it's a kind of a little, this is like the rabbit hole. This is the journey of self-awareness, that once we start to become more self-aware of our programming, of who we are on the inside, then things start to change in the real world. Our consciousness will start to pay attention to different things, and thereby changing our so-called objective reality. Kind of little trippy, deep, windy way to start this live stream, but I think it's really exciting, because the more people that start to do this, that start to know thyself, to know themselves, and to know their programming and change their conditions, their conditioning, then the world will start to pay attention to different things. So it's like whatever we're paying attention to is really what's going to start to manifest in this world. I'm just going to look at the live stream here. I'm not sure, the video quality might be really crappy. Hopefully we can get this squared away. I'm just starting to try out new technology here and get the internet rolling. Looks like the live stream, it might be pretty crappy. And that's okay. We'll work on this. Again, it's all about alignment, right? So like even on a literal scale with my internet, I've got a Starlink lined up to the satellites incorrectly right now, just because it's convenient for me to put it into my dashboard of my van here. But when we change our alignment, when we change the satellite alignment, we start to receive a better signal. And so that is really the key thing here. When we start to receive more of a signal of coherence, then we have a better live stream in life. So I appreciate anybody that's watching this, or if you're not watching this, come back and watching it. I just want to say thank you. And we're going to get into so many cool subjects here on the live streams. We're going to be doing this at least once a week. I'm shooting for twice a week. And the reason is because we have an opportunity in this world right now. We have an opportunity to share our own story. I was honored and blessed with this wonderful point of awareness in the last 10 years. This idea about our ownership of life. You know, life is a gift that is given to us by the Creator, or whatever you want to call it, really God or Spirit. And the thing is, you know, we don't actually own anything. We're kind of borrowing our bodies. We're borrowing everything from the world because we are just the observer, kind of downloading through this thing. So when you kind of accept that we don't really own anything, it changes the whole point of view. And but the key takeaway here, the thing that I learned is that if we actually do, we can take ownership of something. We actually have an opportunity to take ownership. And what is that thing? It is the story that we tell ourselves about who we are and how we relate to the world. This is the key thing. Once we you know, we don't have to. You can be basically running on autopilot and just let your programming run the show, or the programming meaning the conditions that were installed within you that make you choose different things. It's like, oh, well, this is people often identify by their programming. Like, I am a video editor, or I am this, I am that. And it's like, these are the clothes that we wear symbolically. But underneath the clothes, we have this more innate nature of who we are. And when we recognize what that really is, it's this opportunity to take ownership of our story. We can actually get behind the wheel of our lives and start to navigate this thing without it being on autopilot. So we're going to have a lot of metaphors and references to hopefully give a little insight into the nature of who we are and how we relate to the world. And another good one is this idea of, you know, driving a car like we're normally used to right now. And we're moving into this world of electric cars and self-driving cars. It's kind of like, look at it in reverse. We come into this world with a self-driving car. And the more aware we become about who we are and the world and our relationship to all these things, then we can actually put our hands on the wheel. We can get into gear and actually start turning in ways that we choose to go. So this is just the first step in recognizing our story and how we relate to it, taking ownership of it. So it's really great thing that we can do is to start to rewrite the story of our lives. It's and look at movies as a metaphor for this. In movies, it takes a whole team of people to make a movie. You've got actors, you've got writers, you've got director, producers, you've got camera people, you got grips. There's this whole behind the scenes world to a movie that when you're watching it, a lot of times it's through this idea of the suspension of disbelief. You just kind of engage in the movie as an audience member. You forget that you're sitting in a theater. But then even more immediately for an actor, when a real good method actor gets into character, they don't even see the camera. They're not paying attention to the director. It's like that whole world fades away and they're in that role. So that's like us in life. We are engaged in this world and we're not immediately present of all of the surrounding conditions that make this movie of life unfold in the way it does. So the more that we start to see beyond the veil of this suspension of disbelief and start to change our beliefs, we start to recognize, oh, well, the camera's right there. Depending on how I look, I can influence the way the shot's going to go, or the script. You know, you memorize the script as an actor, but then you can also improvise and go off script. And depending on how in tune you are with your present opportunity in the movie, you know, that could change the whole outcome. You know, if you're going so far off the script that the director has to keep yelling cut, cut, and you have to keep doing it, it's almost like you're stopping and going in life. So there's a whole journey that we get to undergo to really become more present of our surroundings. And it's not just what we're seeing with our eyes or smelling with our noses or feeling with our hands. Another sense. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's called the sixth sense. Like Haley Joel Osment, I see dead people. Well, it doesn't have to be so scary like that. We can start to see the world beyond our senses, and how these forces, these invisible forces, are actually influencing our lives. And once you become aware of these things, then you're a little bit more free to change the story. First, you got to know the story, and then you can change the story. So this is a great journey that so many people are on right now. And I like to remind us, let's be grateful for, let's be thankful for this. The conditions on this civilization for thousands of years, people have not been aware of the story. People have been running on autopilot because of so many oppressive forces like authority. And today it's very popular to consider it like the patriarchy. And yes, there is a historical relevance to this patriarchal dominating force on this world, but to just give it a gender neutral, more, let's just cut right through all that divisiveness for a second and recognize what is the true oppressive force. It's this authority that's inside of ourselves. Now, it's a constant theme that's going to be in these live streams and in my presentations. You can go to my website, videoshaman.com. Going to be reformatting this to include a lot more cool stuff besides just like an online video resume. But the theme is going to be starting to recognize that it's not just one or the other. It's not that there is authority outside of us or there isn't. It's recognizing that there is both. There is an authority that we perceive to be outside of ourselves, and at the same time, there is a reflection of that authority within ourselves. And it's, which one comes first? Since again, the chicken or the egg, which one came first? Well, they both exist simultaneously at the exact same time. And that is an interesting paradox. What do you do with that? We haven't really had the upbringing or the programming or the story to help us reconcile how to live in this paradox. But this is like what I was saying before about freedom. Freedom is not which one do you choose, which one is right or which one's wrong. Freedom is about balance, learning how to balance and be in harmony with this inner authority and this outer authority. So it's like, another way to look at this polarity is this idea like there's the self and there's others. Which one's more important? Well, like according to a lot of spiritual traditions, it's recognizing that it's others are actually more important, or like the thing that's outside of you. If you want to have a happy life, you have to learn how to give and be grateful for the things that are outside of you. There's that, like, the opposite gives us context, like being selfish. You don't want to be service to self and not care about others. That's not good at all. However, we don't want to throw everything away that comes from this idea of self. When we start to transcend this polarity of self versus others, then we start to realize that it's really about a pole shift. It's about first recognize the love and the divine spark that's within you, and then start to expand your sense of self to include others. So it's not really a choice of self versus others. It seems like that at first. You want to be more in harmony with bestowing and giving, but don't throw yourself out, the baby out with the bathwater. We have to learn how to treat each other with respect when we have to treat ourselves with respect. This is the great saying. If you don't know how to love yourself, or if you don't treat yourself with respect, then how do you expect anyone to respect you or anyone to love you? This is the great question, and the answer is self-evident within this question. So I think right now is this great opportunity where so many people are starting to like let go of the world that we thought we knew and start to ask deeper questions. And and the questions may be the same, but the answers may be different for everybody. But the point is that what may work for you may not work for somebody else, but just recognize this respect and this compassion that we're all in this together. We're all in this journey. And the more that we learn to listen and hold space within our hearts about that we're all family in this, then we can start to kind of like release the tension between the things that we may not be able to understand within what other people are doing, or what the environment at large is doing. So it's an interesting journey, and we have this great moment to see it happening right before our eyes. The thing is, again, like this choice point. A lot of people in the world are saying that we're at a choice point. We're at a crossroads. Or depending on how we act right now, we could be either heading into a utopian direction where there's peace and love and freedom and harmony and all that stuff, all the good stuff that you want in the future. In the future, in 22 part two future, flying cars and good times. Or we can be on the Biff Tannen future. We can have this dystopian reality where it's just like, this is like most of the movies about, they're all just and how we perceive this world and what we're focusing on, that's going to really determine which one's there. It's, there is a utopia and there is a dystopia at the same time. And depending on how you look at it, that's what you're going to see. The key thing here is community. The more people that come together in this vision of seeing the beauty in the chaos, the more apparent this beauty is going to manifest. So you can see, like, the oppressive authority structure right now is really trying to get us to turn away from community. They want us to separate. They want us to be locked into our own little algorithms. And that's why one person's social media looks completely than a different person's social media. And they're sitting in the same world, but they see completely different worlds. And that's just so convenient for the authority structure that wants to maintain power. There's that great saying, divide and conquer. Keep people divided, and then you're easily able to manipulate. But if we start to come together in community and at the same time, simultaneously, we can do this. We can do both of these things. As all these great politicians say, we could learn how to walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. Well, this is the thing. We can honor the individual. We can embrace our individuality and at the same time come together in community and share in this wonderful mystery of life together, because everyone has something to offer. And we all can, if we learn how to let go and not react so much to the programming and start to recognize that even if people are different than you, or they see the world different than you, and you completely disagree with them or vice versa, that doesn't mean that we have to treat each other like shit. It just doesn't. We actually can change this. It's an optimistic message, and it is easier said than done a lot of times. So I want to honor that. And for anybody that forgets, it's, I'm right there with you. It's an ongoing mission. And it's great to be here. We have a great year ahead of us. I think there's a lot of crazy things that are going on, but again, want to flip the script a little bit and say, well, a lot of these crazy things going on in our world, we don't really have control over in like what we see outside. But we do have influence of how we react, and thereby changing the situation at large. So we really should be expecting a lot of things going on right now that are going to distract us. They're going to distract us from this wonderful path that we have to come together in unity. And this is important to recognize too, that I'm coming at this. If you can't tell already, I'm coming at this from a very like spiritual, philosophical point of view. Everything's connected, right? So there is that, and then there's also like the socio-political, economic point of view, and there's reflections of these things all throughout. But I'm not, when I talk about the individual and the community, I'm not talking about like capitalism and communism, or like fascism and communism. Those are in fact not really different from each other. If you take a step back and put on the glasses, like from the movie They Live. If you haven't seen that, really check it out. It's so deeply important for our times we're in right now. But when you put on these glasses that show you the hidden world, the hidden influences of our world, communism and fascism are exactly the same thing in terms of a small group of people at the top of a pyramid controlling the masses. It's just two different perspectives of the same exact thing. If you look at a photo of Germany and you have like Nazi SS and Hitler at the top, just everyone else is worshiping these guys. And then you look at a picture of like Stalin from the Soviet era in Russia with the masses of people in the Red Square, And you really look at those two pictures, it's the same thing. It's the same exact image. It's a small group of people on a stage, elevated above everybody else, and everyone is there sending their energy upward. One communism might have a belief that, like, we, the people, are in charge of the wealth, or the fascist side be like, oh, the leaders have our best interests in heart. Let's give up our power to the leader. Either one is really the same thing. It's about giving up our power, just two different ways of looking at it. So I want to differentiate the spiritual philosophical stuff I'm talking about in terms of recognizing the individual and the community and how they are both relevant and both important. We need to honor both of them and not get that confused with, well, maybe fascism is good or maybe communism is good or vice versa. We shouldn't be fighting. We shouldn't be arguing between the sides. If we recognize that individual and community are important, the end result shouldn't be war. It should be peace and harmony, as opposed to communism and fascism. Either way, you're going to end up with poverty, you're going to end up with war, you're going to end up with destruction and all of our power gone. And so let's just remember that this hidden influencer has been with us for a long time, this hidden authority. Think of this image as well. There's the octopus, the great video. I'll have to get this queued up for let me see if I can find it actually right now, since we're on StreamYard and it's a really great video to and hide right in front of your face itself in the environment, but it constantly moves, and the closer you get to it, here we go, octopus camouflage. Let's see if I can pull this up. All right, thanks for bearing with me on this technology here. I'm going to see if I can add a video. Let's see, video, extra camera, share screen. Okay. Thanks again for bearing with me on this. We're just, instead of trying to sit here and get it right the whole time, I'm going to, I'm just going to go live and we're going to do this. Oh no, I can't. I got to quit the live stream for this to work. So forget it. I'll show you next time. I basically described it to you. It's this octopus that masks itself in its environment, and the closer you get to it, suddenly it starts to morph and it shoots ink at your face and then distracts you and then goes and hides somewhere else. That's the authority that's been hidden thousands of years, that shifts its appearance to look like different things in its environment, but in reality it's the same thing that's just constantly disguising itself as part of its environment. We got to be very mindful that right now there's a big pole shift in the authority and how it presents itself to the world. For a long time it was hidden, and this is where we later will get into things like secret societies and the Illuminati and the Freemasons and all that stuff. But now there's this great reveal going on where so many people, thanks to like the internet and just this massive spread of awareness, that we're starting to become aware of what this is. A great image or from a movie that describes this or demonstrates this is the Wizard of Oz. That moment when Dorothy and the Scarecrow and the Lion, the Tin Man, Toto, they all show up to the wizard, and it's just like scary. Oh my God, the wizard! They're all terrified, but then Toto goes over and moves the curtain away, and we see that there's a man behind the curtain controlling everything, presenting himself as this like all powerful wizard, but in reality, he's just a magician. He's like a con man, basically, and that's kind of where we're at in civilization right now, is that this authority, we're starting to see what's behind the curtain, what's actually been running the show this whole time. And they are desperately trying to control the narrative, to maintain this power and maintain this control, maintain this illusion of control. And so many people are not having it. A lot of people are buying into it. This is why we need to start to take ownership of our story. We need to start like being that actor I was saying before. We need to start to open our eyes and recognize these hidden forces around us that are like trying to guide us into this little box again. People are leaving the box, so to speak, and there's a force that's trying to get us to walk into a new box. And they say, like, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Well, meet the new box, same as the old box. So we don't want to go into the box. We want to transcend the box. This is a false choice. Again, you can either choose this reality and the story ends, or you can choose this reality and the story begins. Well, those aren't two different things. Those are two of the same boxes. Just again, you're looking at the same thing from two different perspectives. The real false choice is getting into the box. We don't want to get into the box. It's like, again, slavery cannot be in this era truly accomplished unless we authorize it to be so. We have to choose it for it to happen. And I think maybe we'll start to kind of bring this live stream to an end, because we're definitely going on a little web of stream of consciousness here. But the Nazis at the end of World War II, they there's we're going to get more into this too, this whole alternate side of history in the 20th century. What really happened? How did it all go down? We all think we know the story, but there might actually be some more data there that gives us context to what is really going on in terms of this hidden oppressor, this hidden authority structure, that octopus that's trying to recamouflage itself into our environment so that we get close to it again. Nazis learned that if you want to take over the world, you want to maintain authority over everybody else. Originally, their whole idea was to do it by force, militarily, go in and force people to be their slaves, force people into their regime. But of course, people resisted, and this is where they learned it wasn't a great strategy. So now the new conditions of this authority structure, these hidden oppressors in our world, is if they want to maintain control, it's you don't control people. You have to create a world. You have to create conditions so chaotic and so unsafe that makes people feel so vulnerable and insecure that people will willingly choose to get rid of their freedom, get rid of their power, and demand to be ruled over for the sake of safety. We've seen examples of this time and time again with the Patriot Act after 9/11. People because it was such a chaotic, horrible event, that people willingly chose to engage in the Patriot Act. Take away my freedom, surveil us, because I don't want this to happen again. Well, the point is that was not a random event. That was the end goal. That was the pre-decided end goal, was to get rid of our freedom, but we had to choose it. So this is where I'm going to end it right now. And it's, again, we have this power to choose how we react to the situation, which then in turn changes the situation as a whole, as long as we do it together in coherence with each other in a community. So yes, we can do both. We can choose how we react, change our biology, get healthy, be healthy. It's a journey, but it is important. It is very important. If we don't have our health, then what do we have? We have disease, and our lifespan shortens, and we can't really, then our freedoms go away, because then we lose the ability to actually respond in the world altogether. So we need to choose ourselves and to be healthy. And then at the same time, we need to start to encourage other people to follow this path as well, but without telling them to do it. Lead by example. Be the change you want to see in the world. This is what none of this information is new, folks. This is all out there. You can read all about this, and some of it sounds cliche, because it is, but I think depending on how we tell the story is really what's going to make the difference here. How we respond in our own lives, and instead of pushing things away or trying to do things differently, let's just stop pushing and pulling and doing and all that stuff. Let us stop, reflect, and be. If we are just present for a moment, then that octopus will become very clear in your life, and everybody might have a different perception of what that means in their life. But let's all start this right now. This is great, a great opportunity to do this. So I appreciate everyone for being here. I'm going to work on trying to get this technology better, and the live stream looks like it's really crappy quality, at least on my end. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I promise it'll only get better from here. And thank you for checking this out. We're going to be doing a lot more of these, and I look forward to hearing from you. So if you want to come into the chat and write some comments, and I'll start figuring out how to get this all much more appropriate and good. So thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate you being here, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Take care, everyone. Peace up.